We're going to be talking about employment tribunals. So we're
Oh,
going to
good.
start really basic and then we're going to build out. Okay.
Okay.
Who sits on the panel at a tribunal hearing?
Right. So you have a judge. So
Yeah.
the person that sits, right, there are two things. There could be a judge sitting on his or her own.
Yeah.
That would be a qualified solicitor or barrister. I think it's
Yeah.
of seven, minimum 7 years, I
Mm-hmm.
think, qualified. Or you can have what's called a fully constituted tribunal, where they have three members, and we call them the wing members.
Yeah.
One normally comes from the employer's side, and one normally comes from the employee side, maybe like a trade union, right, to get a balance. All three, each one, have equal say. So the
Yeah.
judge doesn't carry more weight than the non-qualified, non-legally qualified wing members.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one or three.
Thank you. Do tribunals always take place in person?
No. It changed a lot. It was COVID that changed it,
Yeah.
and from my experience.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? I think it's been a good thing. We were slow to embrace technology in those
Yeah.
days. I would be traveling to Manchester, for example, for a half an hour hearing. Now, my client is paying for my rail fare. Now, if you take into account that the hearing probably starts at 10 a.m. and
Yeah.
I get to court about 9 a.m. So I would travel up the night before, stay in
Yeah.
a hotel, have a half an hour hearing or an hour hearing, and back on the train back to London. That's a lot of expense for a
Yeah.
short hearing. Now, what happens? We have most of these are done on the computer. We call it CVP. And then it's a lot cheaper because all the client's really doing is paying for my time in preparing
Yeah.
and being on the call. No hotel, no traveling, none of that kind of stuff. And you do have some trials done on computer as well. A lot are done in person, but I would say from my experience, I think they're around 50-50, probably about
Yeah.
60% in person, 40% on the video hearings.
And
Um,
that makes sense now, given the backlogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it works. It works. I must admit, I was one of the few people saying, how are you going to cross-examine someone over a computer? I mean, how's that going to happen? But
And
now
it worked though, didn't you?
you know what? I love it now. I love it. I can, if I'm at my flat, I come out from one room in front of the computer. That's it. When it's finished, I'm done. I'm not
Yeah.
just living out of in my practice, like many barristers, is all around the country. So
Yeah.
you're effectively living out of a hotel before. You could be in Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds, Cardiff. It's just so now it that's eased up a bit now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
There's a better work-life balance as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, indeed, indeed. So yeah.
Um, can you ask questions? Oh, sorry, I missed the question. What happens during a tribunal hearing?
Right. So what would normally happen day one, before you start the hearing, the
Yeah.
judge will put the parties in. We
Yeah.
call it a bit of housekeeping. So it I often have difficulties with this with the tribunal because I used to do a lot of civil work as well when I was in the county court and high court. And the judges in the civil courts have the bundles days in advance. In the employment tribunal, they have the bundle in the morning. Now,
Yeah.
you think about it, I've worked on the case, say, for a year. The tribunal gets a bundle in the morning. They're reading the papers in the morning before hearing the evidence. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So, the judge would have been the one who read what the issues are, the case management papers. The wing members haven't seen anything. So we're called in at 10 a.m. The judges say, right, just want to clarify these are the issues. Anything else we need to know? Any other paperwork we need to have? That's all dealt with. And then the parties say, well, judge, because of the size of the papers, you and your colleagues might need them the whole morning. Sometimes the case is so big, you might need a whole day to read.
Yeah.
And we'll start the evidence the following day. Now, I tend to think that's quite a lot on a tribunal to
Yeah.
die.
I'm just thinking of a case where I sat and yeah, it's coming back now.
Yeah, that's all
Actually,
they
yeah,
have.
I observed one. Yeah.
That's all they have is that day one, they're seeing the papers for the first time.
Yeah.
That's a lot to take in, especially bearing in mind, I said we worked on the case for a long time. So yeah, so that's how that works. And then you kick in with the evidence. The
Yeah.
order of who gives evidence first depends on the type of case. So if you're talking about a discrimination case, the claimant gives evidence first. because the burden of proof is on the claimant to
Yeah.
prove to what's called a prima facie case. In other words, based on what the claimant has said in evidence before the respondent gives its side of the story, there's a case to answer.
Yeah.
So then the burden shifts to the employer to give, well, actually say why what the claimant said was not unlawful discrimination. There's other reasons for treating the claimant the way we did.
Yeah.
If it's unfair dismissal, the employer goes first because it's the employer to show that it dismissed the claimant for a lawful reason, misconduct, capability, and that kind of thing. If they don't do that, then it's unfair dismissal.
Okay. Thank you. Um, so question about witnesses. Can you ask questions to the other side's witnesses?
Yes. So what you do, you put what's called cross-examination.
Yeah.
And so to make a distinction, when someone gives their own evidence,
Mhm.
unchallenged evidence, that's called evidence in chief.
Yeah.
Then when the other side then has the opportunity to challenge or test your evidence,
Yeah.
that's called cross-examination. The the skill for an advocate
Yeah.
is in the cross-examination.
Which is yourself, someone like yourself.
Yes, when you're crossing it, because you've got to mix it up with mainly closed questions.
Yeah.
You've got to. It's hard for a layperson to put questions.
Yeah.
It's very very hard.
Yeah.
No different from when we start off being trained at in bar school,
Yeah.
because when we talk generally with friends, we tend to ask a multitude of questions within one question, as it were.
Yeah.
So, did you go to the shop today? And what did you buy? How much did it cost?
Yeah.
You put that, the person who said, yes, I went to the shop. They haven't said
Yeah.
what they bought, so you don't know how much it costs. Whereas when you're in the appellate tribunal, you've got to break it down question by question. You don't have that kind of thing. So this is what said, what was said next, and what was said, and that is one question at a time, and in an order. You
Step by
don't.
step, methodical.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way you can get the best you want.
Yeah.
Do it in the wrong order and you mess it up.
Yeah.
So and that's going to be difficult for a layperson. Very,
Especially when you've got a lot of facts, you have to have some kind of order.
yes, you have
Yeah.
to, and it can be difficult for a layperson because when you're keen and you think I've got something here, you just take all that in one go,
Yeah.
and it's like no. So the skill is to take your time,
Yeah.
break it down, get it in the right order.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can get to a position where this is what we have to do. We got to get to a position where you've got the witness where you want them, and really there's no other answer they can give based on the answers, they've given to your questions already, but what you want.
Oh, yeah. Hence the closed.
And precisely,
Hence
hence the
the
close.
closed. Hence the closed.
Hence the close. The close is, I would say, that's arguably the most important
Yeah.
and vital weapon you have,
Yeah.
because you want to end up by saying, well, in light of the answer you've given me, you did do this, didn't you?
Yeah.
You say something, no, 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 yes or no. You say yes or no.
I'll go to left. Yes or no?
Yes or no. I'm not interested in it. You've already given your answer to the other question, yes or no.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
No, it's hard because the amount of time you have a witness says, "Well, look, you're criticizing me for doing this. What would you have done?" Now, if you and I having a conversation, it's two ways.
Yeah.
In court, there is no two ways. I put a
Is that
question.
frustration, I imagine, from the witness that comes? Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
put a question. You answer it. You don't ask me questions. So that you haven't got license to do that.
Yeah.
You've got a license just to answer it, and that's tough for some people.
So literally, it's literally you have to have mental agility. You have to have good listening skills if you're
Yeah,
going to be a witness in chief or you're going to be cross-examined. You have to know what you're okay.
yeah,
So kind
yeah.
of like listen to your advocates and
Yeah.
take the coaching they give you.
Yeah, you've got to listen, right?
Listen,
And
listen.
many of us don't. We talk, we don't really listen. You've got to listen.
Yeah, and ask people to repeat.
If you don't get the question, didn't hear it properly, don't be ashamed to say, "Oh, can you repeat that, please?" "Oh, I don't understand."
Yeah,
And say that. It's not a problem. Not a problem.
great. Thank you. How long does a human last?
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that's a how the piece of string type of question.
Yeah.
It can, and then we don't always get it right. I mean,
Yeah.
a case that I did up north recently, it was listed for 4 days. 4 days was insufficient. We came back another 3 days. That didn't work out as
Work out.
well. And we had another few more days on top of that. And I think that's run now to over 10 days, nearly
Yeah.
15 days. Cases can run to a number of weeks.
Yeah.
In the employment tribunal, it's not the norm. It's not like civil cases. So 5 days in the employment tribunal is deemed to be quite long, uh,
Yes.
but it depends on the nature of it. So an unfair dismissal case really ought not to take more than 2 to 3 days,
Yeah.
not to, because you're talking about policies, were policies followed? Did the person do this? Was it reasonable for the employer to believe they did these sort of things? That would not take very long. When you're talking about discrimination cases, and there are lots of allegation of discrimination
Mm.
that runs over a period, a long period of time,
Yeah.
then they can go on and on because you've got a lot of witnesses and so on. So they can be quite lengthy. Can be quite lengthy.
Thank you.
Mm.
Um, when do you find out the result?
Yeah, now before when I started, you used to get the results fairly quickly. They're so effectively two ways. A tribunal can give a decision
Yeah.
within the time frame of the hearing. So what I mean, let's just say if we're in a hearing now and it started on Monday.
Yeah.
The evidence finished on tomorrow, Wednesday. The tribunal took the whole day on Thursday to what's called deliberate, go through the evidence, give a decision on Friday.
Yeah.
When they give a decision on Friday, that's called the oral decision.
Yes.
Parties are entitled to ask for written reasons of that oral decision. They can do it then, or they can do it within 14 days of that oral judgment being given. Nowadays, you can wait weeks.
Oh,
The one that I've mentioned to that I'm waiting for one now.
yeah.
That was quite a few weeks ago. Can take months because sometimes they're very complex.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very. I've got two in the courts at the moment that are extremely complex, and we're still awaiting the decision. But they've
Yeah.
got to get it right. The judges have got to get it right.
Thank you. What happens if you win?
Aha, right. Compensation, remedy. Uh,
Remedies hearing.
remedies, that's right. You're absolutely a remedies hearing. It's very rare these days, although the tribunals do list it.
Yeah.
Hearings will be done, you're covering liability part to see if
Yeah.
you've won and remedy together, but you don't. What you do liability first,
Yeah.
seeing whether or not you've won your case,
Yeah.
decision made, and then the remedy element of it comes afterwards. Not always immediately after the judgment. It's usually a new date's listed because
Yeah.
sometimes you may need further information.
Yeah.
It might be a case where you need medical information.
Yeah.
Someone said I've been badly damaged by the discriminatory act and they want to get a psychiatric report.
Yeah.
They want to get some other medical evidence to show how badly they've been affected by the discriminatory act. So you have a separate remedy hearing for that.
Yeah.
Many times, remedy can be settled between the parties. That can happen.
Yeah.
Why the tribunal will determine it.
Can you appeal a tribunal decision?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But this
But
needs to be clarified.
yeah.
You are not appealing because you agree with the findings of the tribunal, the findings of fact.
Yeah.
The only way you can appeal on a finding of fact is if the tribunal had no basis for making that
Wow.
finding of fact. Not that you disagree with it, they
Yeah.
had no basis. So,
Yeah.
in other words, when if the tribunal made a finding and there was no evidence whatsoever to say that someone went to the shop at 10 a.m., the tribunal just thought, oh, we put a time in there, someone went to the shop. Then
Yeah.
appeal that. That's a perverse decision. That's
Yeah.
a perversity is very hard. But other than that, what you appeal is on a point of law.
Yes.
And the terminology that's used that a tribunal misdirected itself. That's quite a strange thing because you think the tribunal is just talking to themselves about what the law is. I don't talk to myself what the law is. I know what the law is, or I read it up. And then I don't just repeat it openly to myself.
Yeah.
But if the tribunal misdirected themselves in law, then you can appeal if they went about things the wrong way. Let's just say, for example, in a direct discrimination case, you need to have a comparator.
Yeah.
It's not what some people think, that they were treated badly. That's not discrimination. The
Yeah.
word discrimination means you've been treated worse, less favorably than somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you have a comparator, and the tribunal were to say, well, yes, you were treated less favorably than the comparator because of your protected characteristic, but you weren't treated badly as somebody else who's not the comparator. That's an error of law because that's
Yeah.
somebody else who's not the comparator.
Yeah.
So only on error of law. So yeah, it's very, very restricted
Yeah.
on
Because
the.
I often read that the tribunal aired and
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's right. That's right. Ed in law. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what if your employer doesn't pay the award? You've been awarded.
Right. No, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So once a tribunal has made a decision on liability,
Yeah.
a decision on remedy,
Yeah.
that's it. It's finished.
Yeah.
It has no further involvement. So if you want, and then the employer doesn't pay, or the respondent doesn't pay, I should say, because it might not be the employer, it might be an individual. You can go
Yes.
to the county court to enforce it. It's now become a judgment, so you
Yeah.
can enforce a judgment in the county in the civil courts.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. You need to take it to the employment trial to the county court or
Okay.
enforce
I
it,
love your claim there.
and they'll sort it out. They'll sort it out.
Yeah.
It's like any other judgment,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's serious business.
Pay me my money.
Yeah, absolutely. With interest.
Yeah. And last question. Where can someone get help, like an employee? Because an employer's generally got
Yeah, yeah,
resources to, or they might have their legal team anyway, but where can an employee get help to prepare for a trial?
right. So well, I suppose there's no hierarchy. There probably is a hierarchy to some degree. So you have your citizen advice bureau and your law centers and so on. You can start at that level. No disrespect to them, but at that level, because many of them are helped out by people like myself anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Uh, you do also have those are called free representation unit. I think they're called that. They might still call through. They give free help. They'll assess your case and give free help.
Yeah.
And for the bar pro bono unit as well, who
Yeah.
they some write to people like myself to see if I want assess certain cases. Um, and then moving on to that, you can then instruct a solicitor or you can instruct a barrister. Now, it's important under what's called the bar public access scheme because when I first came to the bar in 96, you had to go via solicitor.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You can go directly to a barrister and instruct that person.
Yeah.
General distinctions. Barrister and solicitor are perfectly capable, both of them. There's sometimes the fee structures works differently.
Yeah.
We can't, as barristers, have money on account. What
Ah, a law firm can.
yeah, we can't. I can't say to my client, right, well, I don't know how much your case is going to cost me, but put £5,000 on account and we draw it down. Can't do that.
Yeah.
It's got to be X pound for the X pounds for the fees I'm going to do now,
Yeah.
and we negotiate. Fees will go along. Solicitors can have money on account. We can't do that. We can't do that.
So literally, a barrister, quite simply, is pay as you go.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
And
That's
the
right.
solicitor is
Yeah,
you can put down a lump sum
and
and
they'll draw
it
down.
just runs out. And then when it needs to be topped up, it's topped up again.
Precisely that. Yeah, you said it far more eloquently than I did. That's why Barris, we just say these long convoluted things. Precisely. Let's put it in simple terms. Pay as you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but that's okay because people will hear things differently, won't they? So
Yeah,
we're talking to multiple people and
yeah,
people will hear things differently.
yes. I hope it's informative to a lot of people.
Honestly, I think it will certainly save me having discussions
Yeah,
with a lot of clients because they will have a resource. Look, we've done this video, watch the video, and then if you have any questions, come back to me.
precisely.
Yeah,
Precisely.
yeah, save a lot of time.
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed.